Greetings! Again, this is inspired from the Bafaniel Bandy Don't Touch Color series. But anyways, can you beat New Super Mario Bros. Without touching the color red? Rules are pretty simple. I can't touch the color red. Pretty self-explanatory. But this does only apply for things that I can, well, physically touch as Mario, and there are items that are fairly close to the background, although nothing in this game like that exists. Also, I have to have full control of Mario, and I won't be counting the world map. I can grab power-ups like the mushroom and fire flower, but I have to grab them under not red bits. But other than that, let's get into 1-1. Starting off, 1-1 is very easy and is possible, and also I got the mushroom house at the end. 1-2 is equally just as easy, and so was 1-3. 1-Fortress's only piece of red was Bowser Jr.'s tuft of hair and his other red things, but other than that it was possible by just burning the little child to death. 1-4 was pretty easy, as we only have to avoid the red pipe, and 1-5 was also pretty easy. And 1-A is also possible. Now, onto 1-Castle, where the stage was pretty easy, besides the only red thing being here, being the lava. But seeing how touching it kills me, I don't have any incentive to touch it. And now, onto the boss fight. Oh, you piece of shit game. Alright, so the switch is red, meaning that I can't continue this challenge, because in order to pass the stage, I need to touch something red. So off to the secret exit in 1-Fortress. Back in 1-Fortress, and I'm gonna start drinking. The pipe is red? Why? Alright, so with other possible exits to another world, I can conclude that it is impossible to beat New Super Mario Bros. DS without touching the color red. But let's see how many other levels I can do. Now, onto World 2, where 2-1 is possible, because there's no red. Well, besides that one Spiny, but let's just ignore him. And also, pokey hair or flowers are pink, so don't at me. And now, it's time for me to switch save files to the Genocide save file, because I wanted to have every level unlocked, and so I can have access to every power-up. So yeah, that's why the bottom screen is now blue. But other than that, 2-2 is possible, along with 2-3. 2-A was pretty easy because I can spend most of the time in the stage, just in the sky and not on the ground. But 2-4 was harmless, and 2-Fortress is impossible because of those red spinning triangles and square platform thingies. I don't know what they are, but they make this stage not possible. 2-5 is possible, and I was even able to manage to save myself from well, near death. But other than that, it was possible, and 2-6 is impossible due to the red pipe at the beginning. And now, onto 2-Castle, where it was possible. And after we defeat Mummy Pokey, do a little celebratory dance, grab the key, we can see that nearly every stage in World 2 is possible, besides 2-Fortress and 2-6. But now let's move on to World 3. Now, onto World 3, where 3-1 is possible because it is an underwater level. And besides the in and out pipes of those levels, they're gonna all be most likely possible. 3-A was possible, I just need to use the mini mushroom so I can jump over the little gap where you're meant to activate the red blocks. But other than that, it was possible. And I also found out something pretty cool about the donut blocks, is that you don't actually need to step on them to activate them. And all you need to do to activate them is just to, like, interact with the upper half of them, which I find pretty cool about the donut block. But other than that, the stage is possible. 3-2 is also possible, we're just gonna ignore my nearly stupid death, and so is 3-Fortress. But now, onto 3-B, where it was pretty simple, up until the ending bit with a horizontal red pipe that was pretty tricky to get through, but after getting the mini mushroom and like 12 attempts or something later, I was able to jump through the gap and then beat the stage, but not before doing a little celebratory dance. Now, onto 3-3, where despite there being bloopers in, I was able to do this level without much problem. 3-Ghost House was also possible due to the fact that basically the only color here was the color grey. So yeah, it was possible. 2-C was also pretty easy to do due to the fact that there was basically no red besides one pipe. So yeah, it was possible. And for 3-Castle, the only hard bit was needing to avoid those donut platforms, but other than that, this was possible. And as we can see, every single stage in World 3 is possible. Now let's move on to World 4. Now onto World 4 and 4-1, where 4-1 I was able to save myself from being an idiot, and other than abusing Dory to go faster, I was able to beat the stage without touching the color red. 4-2 was also possible because the mushrooms are orange, not red. Oh yeah, and also the purple ones, but you know, still. 4-3 is an underwater level, and therefore it was pretty easy. 4-Fortress was about sprinting my ass up a bunch of grates, so it was possible because grates are grey or silver or whatever. 4-4 is possible, I just need the mini mushroom so I can get past the donut block part, but other than that, it was simple. 4A was pretty simple until that middle part where I had to swing over the red pipe, and it was pretty hard to land in the green pipe, but then I remembered I don't need to do that and I can just go above with another vine. So if that's what I did, I kind of just went above and skipped that hard part, and the rest of the stage was pretty easy. 4-Ghost House, besides being the best ghost house in Mario existence, is also not possible because of the amount of red blocks that we need to touch and red switches to activate those red blocks. But 4-5 was pretty easy, and 4-6 was also pretty easy. And finally, 4-Castle is also possible to beat. And as we can see, the only stage in this world that is not possible is 4-Ghost House, but other than that, we can move on to World 5. Now, onto World 5, where 5-1 was obviously possible, because I'm pretty sure the whole stage is basically just white and blue, so possible. 5-2's only red part was the spiny beetles, and I was able to easily avoid them, so it was possible. 5-A was pretty easy, and 5-Fortress was also pretty easy. 5-3 was pretty easy due to the fact that it's basically all just ice, so yeah, I was able to get through very easily. Just like that. And similar story with 5-B. But 5-C is impossible due to me needing to walk on a bunch of red blocks to get to the end, so not possible. 5-Ghost House follows the Ghost House tradition of being basically just grey, so possible. But now, onto the hardest stage in this challenge, 5-4. Because I'm counting those red mushrooms that go up as red, I was not allowed to step on them. And this was fine for basically most of the stage, where I only had to use the mini mushroom in one area that was, you know, easier to do, aka possible with the mini mushroom, or possible as small Mario. But that's not what makes this stage hard. It's the end bit, the final one, where there's just a row of those red mushrooms that you have to use to get up or just to go across the floor. But with the mini mushroom, you could wall jump at a specific time and then potentially land on the mushroom. This took a very long time because every time I would die, I would have to go back to go to a mushroom house, get a mini mushroom, and then come back as to not lose progress with the flag. Now, I wasn't sure if this was possible because every time I managed to get there, a Koopa would kill me that was just straddling up there. Until I was able to get an attempt where I somewhat landed on it, but then fell. After that, I knew I was going to be able to actually stick the landing and then continue this. To make this go by faster, I decided to buy the mushroom house in World 5, ruining my 115 star coins, but after this stage, I do go get my 115 star coins back. But other than buying the mushroom house to make this go by faster, after like another hour of attempts, I was finally able to do this. And beat the stage. Now, I do know I jump on the Koopa Troopa, but one, I don't care, this took an hour, and two, as Mini Mario, you don't actually jump on him, you kind of just hover above him. So, breaking the laws of physics saves us, I guess. But, other than that, despite taking a while, this stage was possible. And finally, 5 Castle is possible. Now, the conveyors maybe have some red, but I'm not gonna count it because I said so. But other than that, this stage was pretty easy, and to kill Petey, all I needed to do was burn him to death. So, it was pretty easy. And as we can see, only 5C is not possible, but every other stage in World 5 is possible. Now, let's go on to World 6. But now, we finished getting back the 115 star coins, and we can move on to World 6. Where 6-1 follows the Ghost House example of being mostly grey, so it's possible. 6-A had that one part that I fell into an embarrassingly amount of times, and I couldn't exit because the exit pipe is red. So, yeah, I only failed it like 3 times, but after that I just took the little catapult gun and I was able to make my way on by. But yeah, it was possible. 6-2 is impossible because of the red pipe. Hooray. 6-Fortress, like most fortresses, is basically just grape, so it was possible. And 6-3 is impossible due to the red pipe. Son of a bitch again. And oh, look at that, 6-4 is also impossible due to the red pipe. So many red pipes in this damn world. But we do have some good news, as 6-Fortress 2 is possible. 6-5 is an underwater level, so you can probably guess that it was very much possible. And 6-B was mostly just ice, so again, it was possible. 6-6 had me committing 2 counts of assault, so I can get through it, and I didn't touch the red, I just broke their necks. So yeah, that was better for me, not for them, but the level was possible. And 6-Castle was possible, and I was even able to beat the Monty Mole. But anyways, as we can see, there are 3 levels that were impossible. 6-2, 6-3, and 6-4. So, let's move on to World 7, and hopefully, it's a bit better than World 6. Now, in World 7, and 7-1 is pretty easy, and so is 7-Ghost House, because it's a ghost house. I don't need to explain it again. In 7-3, I employed this very funny strategy called, I'm just gonna duck with the blue shell, sit on going slightly left, and then AFK while holding down. It worked and I didn't touch red, so that means we can move on. Well, not really because we already failed the challenge, but still. And in 7-3, I employed the exact same strategy, where I AFK on the Wiggler. And I almost died because I wasn't paying attention, because I was just on my phone whilst AFKing on the Wiggler. So yeah, it was possible, and that is a very effective strategy if you just don't want to play the game. 7-Fortress is impossible due to red pipe. I feel like we're constantly failing stages because of red pipes. But anyways, 7-4 is possible because you spend most of the time not on the ground. So, yeah, it's basically 2-8 part 2. 7-5 is basically just bob-ombs and grass. So this is basically just, I'm guessing this is where Bowser just dumps off his munitions. So yeah, this is possible because a munitions yard don't have too much red. And 7-6 was also possible to beat. 7-7 is possible, we just need to use the mini mushroom. And 7-8 just requires the use of a mini mushroom to get past the one part with the red blocks, Staros, next to the invisible blocks. But other than that, with the mini mushroom, this stage is possible. And marching onwards to 7-Castle, it is possible because you're basically just on the snake block. But other than that, as we can see, only 7-Fortress is impossible to do. So, well, I mean, we did do better than World 6. So, at least we hit our target. But now, onto World 8. Now, in World 8, an 8-1 is possible. Because there's no red. Moving on. 8-2 is possible because for once we don't have to encounter a red pipe and instead a green one. So it is possible. 8-Fortress is possible due to the fact that it uses the basic tower colors of gray, blue, some variation of purple, you know, the tower colors. 8-3 is an underwater level, so I'm sure I don't even need to say it, but it is possible to beat 8-3. And also, 8-4 was also possible to beat, due to the fact that the stage lacked the color red. At first, I thought 8-Castle was gonna be impossible, due to the fact that I have to hit the red block to activate specific lifts. But with a mini mushroom, I was able to get enough distance and I was able to beat the stage until we get to the Bowser fight where I have to press the red switch. So besides that, you know, the first part being extremely satisfying to do because, well, it was possible. At the end, the stage was not possible due to the same thing that happened in World 1. The red switch. So yeah, not possible. 8-5 is impossible due to a red pipe. God damn it, I thought we would never have to see it again. But unfortunately, red pipes are back. Not possible 8-5. Although luckily, 8-6 is possible. 8-7 is also possible because we are lucky enough that the final pipe that we have to use to launch ourselves isn't red. But yeah, this stage is possible. And 8-8 is also possible to beat. Like other snake block levels, 8-Fortress 2 is possible because, well, yeah, snake blocks are green. And now, onto Final Bowser, where it's impossible due to the thing that killed this run from the start, the red switch. Well, we're also missing red pipes, that also killed this run heavily. But we're talking about the red switch here from the first castle, so, you know. But yeah, the stage part of this level is possible. But the boss, we need to click the red switch, meaning that Final Bowser is not possible. But with that, that's every level in World 8, and as we can see, only 8-Castle and 8-5 are impossible to beat. Now, at the end, we can see that 11 out of the 80 stages are impossible to beat without touching the color red. But other than that, if you enjoyed what you saw, like and subscribe, and if not, tell me why in the comments, and I'll see y'all later.